Welcome to Teen Talk. Today's program, my guests on today's program are all ambassadors. Yes, that's right. Each and every one of them is an ambassador. They happen to be student ambassadors, which is good enough for us. And Debby Eisinger, who is the president of the Broward League of Cities and also the mayor of
Cooper City,
is going to tell us why they are here. They are student ambassadors, but as I said, that's even better than other kinds of ambassadors, right? Tell us why they're here.
Yes, they are. And they're better than other kinds of ambassadors because you are looking at the future leaders of our country. And they're student ambassadors with the Broward League of Cities. They have an interest in going into a career in government someday. So they have joined us with the Broward League of Cities, and they have the opportunity to attend our membership meetings, our board of directors meetings, our committee meetings, and participate in the government process.
Do they get to go behind the scenes and see the way sausage is made?
They get the behind the scenes, uncensored. They have attended various board meetings where they've seen differences of opinions voiced by elected officials and are having a real world experience in government.
Before I ask them what they've gotten out of it and all of the state secrets that they're able to share publicly for the first time, what have you gotten out of it thus far? This is you've had 2 rounds of this, right? About a round and a half, 1 year's graduates and then this year's.
Last year was the first year of the program, and we start with 11th grade students. And by the way, the program's open up to 11th grade students who are attending a Broward County public or charter school and residents of Broward County.
But we'll put some information on so people can be recruited for, future programs.
Okay, and what I've gotten out of it, I've learned from these students what's important to them in government and what they want to see in the future. So it's really not only have they been ambassadors learning about the Broward League of Cities, but we as elected officials at the Broward League of Cities are learning about the issues that they feel are important in government.
We'll get back to that. In the meantime, let's hear from our ambassadors, Mr. and Ms. Ambassador. And what's the total number in the program this year?
We have 8. We have 4 that are in their senior year, about to graduate high school, and 4 that have started with us this year.
So we have almost the whole contingency here.
We have almost the whole contingency.
So let's hear from the student ambassadors about what your experiences have amounted to thus far, and hold nothing back. We want to know all of the secrets and all of the things that are appropriate, and even inappropriate, shall we say.
Uncensored is good. I want them to give you everything they've experienced.
Right there, from I won't say from the horse's mouth, from the ambassador's mouth. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, I don't know how secretive our program has been. We publish monthly My Views, where we go into details of our individual experiences that month with the League. And I think one of the most important things that all of us have learned is how politics really is, what is really there, and some of the individual obstacles that politicians face when trying to, craft policy, maybe just meet and do standard things. But
so you
become
sympathetic to the plight of elected officials?
I think I really have.
Yeah? Like how? What are give us a sense of the parameters here, because one of the things is sometimes I read somebody will say that they went to City X, or congressional thing once, and they'll complain about schools, and they don't understand that they don't have any say over that. I mean, they may go and give testimony, but people don't understand necessarily the actual responsibilities of an elected official within certain realms. So you have to be appreciative.
Yeah, and I think another part of it is that people don't realize it's not change isn't as simple as just snapping your fingers. It takes a lot more than just doing that. Because when you're writing the legislation, specifically, the Broward League of Cities has done a lot of work on ethics codes, and I know even the individual language of a sentence has been debated back and forth, and they put a lot more effort into that than I think they get credit for.
By the way, we didn't even say what the League of Cities is. What is the League of Cities?
The Broward League of Cities is the organization that's comprised of elected officials throughout the 31 municipalities in Broward County, as well as associate memberships, businesses that are involved in Broward County. And our job is to resolve the issues that affect all 31 cities, looking after quality of life and the well-being of our residents throughout the entire county.
So you try to get people on the same page?
We try to get people on the same page. We have worked towards legislation that benefits the residents as well, and resolving issues.
What's the relationship between the Broward League of Cities and the County Commission?
As a matter of fact, the county is the commission, and they have their own professional organization, but we do include the county commission. We have a member of the county commission who sits on the board of directors of the Broward League
So
of
this
Cities.
is like, let's call it bottom up as opposed to top down?
We embrace everybody.
I see. That's very kind, very good. Okay, let's hear some more of what you've seen. We haven't gotten some, real inside, Yeah, people, go ahead.
Well, I think that the most insightful thing that I've experienced throughout my tenure as a student ambassador is just seeing how elected officials truly have the capacity to do good in their roles as elected officials. And coming from the outside in, there's a perception, just from people I've spoken with and just from what I've gotten from the newspaper, television stations, et cetera, that all local elected officials are corrupted. And that's not the case. I can assure you that's not the case. I think that...
Do you know the percentage that maybe? No, I'm just joking.
I would venture to say that it's less than 1% as a whole across the country. And I think that people have the perception that because one person does something that's really terrible, every single elected official is thereby guilty just by association. And I think that's the thing that I've learned about. It's that all of these individuals have the capacity to do good, to solve problems that people face on a daily basis. And that's another thing that I've seen that's very interesting, in that a lot of the cities face similar problems, and in working together, they can come to a solution. Two heads is going to be better than one. And if they get together between different cities and try to find solutions to those problems, you're going to have more effective policy for the people in those places.
Mm-hmm. And I think going off of what Chad was just saying about how this experience has really shown us the job of elected officials, it's made the entire system more transparent. And not transparency to avoid corruption, but it's shown us that how elected officials work to get things done for their citizens, for the residents of Broward County. It's really opened that door to us. I mean, just in February in our general meeting, we had a law firm come into a group of elected officials. The ambassadors were invited to attend, elected officials were invited to attend, and the law firm gave a presentation on the new ethics code for Broward County, which is ponderous. It's thick, it's long, we want to have stringent ethics codes, of course. But something that they really stress is the transparency of getting a written statement from your city attorney if you have any question about whether or not your action will be ethical or not. And I think that's something that's very important that the Broward League has been able to accomplish. It's been able to bring a lot of these transparent issues to the attention of a large body of people, and it's the collaboration that the Broward League of Cities has that makes politics in Broward County much more efficient, I think.
Okay.
One thing that Chad said that I thought about was when all the cities come together. We've been to workshops where we see they present what each city is doing, and this is a way for other cities to learn about what initiatives they're taking. I mean, personally, I remember the one about the Going Green initiatives, and there were just some ideas that different cities were talking about and displaying that other cities were then able to adopt. So it's kind of like a partnership, and it's able to build the entire county as a whole by cities learning from each other.
I think that the workshops that are conducted are great because they bring the cities together, but the committee meetings are really productive because it really shows how different cities with different needs come together and they can all work together to solve a common problem even though they have different needs.
So a typical meeting has what, 32 representatives there, one from the county and 31 from the cities?
A board of directors meeting has about 32. We have general membership meetings, various issues committees stemming from education, sustainability, growth management, and our students are invited to any or all of the meetings. As they were sharing the word transparent, and they were, some of them came in with the notion that all of government is corrupt, and here,
Did they really? You came in with that idea?
No, I'm not saying I came in with that idea. I'm just saying that that's the perception that a person would get in not having this experience. And one thing that I wanted to say from before was that this experience also showed me how the national government affects the local and the local governments. I came from 2 internships in Washington, and seeing how the decisions made in Washington end up affecting these local elected officials was extremely enlightening to me.
Did the people in Washington think of the impact on the
I
local?
think that's a problem. A lot of times, the national government makes decisions without considering the implications on the local level. It could be through an unfunded mandate. It could be through some type of policy that they're not going to provide resources for the local elected officials to do. So you're putting down these regulations, and this is something that comes up a lot in a lot of the board of director meetings, and there's really no way for them to implement this policy. So people make decisions in Washington without ever considering what could happen on the local level once these policies are put into place. So that was very interesting.
How about
to see.
state government?
I
The
was
relation
gonna-
with state government. Because
I was
too.
going to say the same thing, state government. And home rule is very important. That's why we have various different forms of government. Municipal government is a body of people who have the same issues and want self-government in a sense. So
But there are lots of unfunded mandates that come down from Tallahassee throughout Florida.
absolutely.
So it's always when people talk about government is too big or too onerous, it depends on where you are, because the state government may say that about the national government, but then they may be imposing their will upon their local and municipal areas as well, or county and municipal. Now, is this are you the lone female in this?
There's another student ambassador from this new year that's a female as
So
well.
this person is a female, and we're going to be joined in our second segment with a male. So tell me, does it seem like you are outnumbered? Give me a female perspective on government.
I'm outnumbered definitely in student ambassadors, but going to the league's meetings and seeing so many female faces is quite empowering. We have like Mayor Eisinger, and so that's really good for the future to see all these females in power and see them making such an impact. I can tell you by my experience going to board meetings, a lot of the women do speak up when they don't agree, and I bet the men are used to that, but I definitely speak up when I don't agree with something, and so that's great to see that our women are.
I'm guessing there was a time, Debbie, when there were fewer women, and the whole notion of women being at the table was rather outrageous for some people, or tell me what your perspective is on that. The difference between the women ambassadors and the men ambassadors, if there is any difference from your perspective.
I don't see a difference. I see that all of our ambassadors equally contribute and are also taking away. It's certainly we've come a long way. I'm not sure that these student ambassadors go back and remember the day when women weren't in public office. I could be dating myself a little bit here, but we've come a long way, and I think, to me, I don't discriminate. As long as you're a good, compassionate, sincere, and caring leader, I'll support you and vote for you, male or female.
I wonder if it's somewhat shocking to all of you to think that, I guess it was 1920, before women were...
Had the right to vote.
Yeah, exactly. Think about that. That's less than 100 years ago, when women in this country could not vote.
I can't even imagine myself.
Can you imagine that? Yeah.
I cannot even imagine. I just turned 18, so this upcoming election, I'll be able to vote. And like I said before, I'm very vocal, and not having a voice, I can't even imagine that in today's society.
Well, can you imagine also there was a time when U.S. senators were not directly voted on?
I think
they
what
were
that,
elected through legislatures.
I think what that really underlies is the importance that each individual citizen has in his ability to cast a vote, and that I think cherishing that and making sure that we actually do get out and vote thereby becomes extremely important, just as a matter that we have this right now, whereas even some 80, 90 years ago it wasn't available to all citizens.
Yeah, I agree with Alex, especially that's what the Student Ambassador Program is doing. A lot of kids our age who are 18 and are of age to vote, they don't do it, and I think that's very important that we have student ambassadors and we're going back to our schools and telling them to register to vote. Just today I signed up 50 kids in my school to register to vote with my National Honor Society. So I think it's really important to tell our generation that, hey, you do make a difference and this is going to affect you in the future.
How about being informed? It's one thing to vote, it's another thing to be an informed voter. And that, it seems to me, probably from an elected official standpoint and from you who are on the inside looking out, hearing the rhetoric, reading it, you know, person X did, you know, Y thing and is, therefore there's corruption, and not realizing that people, A, that doesn't apply to everybody, and B, how do you get informed?
Well, I think that something that's gone a long way to changing that, especially in the youth voting market, if you could say, is social media. And it's something that we've contributed to through our My Views, which are posted on the Broward League of Cities website, browardleague.org. You can go on the website, you can read our My Views, and we're posted monthly, and it's what's going on with the Broward League. But for social media, a lot of kids are on Twitter, they're on Facebook, they're on the internet, they're looking at...
I'm on Twitter and Facebook.
I am too, and if you want to follow me,
I'm on
you know, we can do
Facebook.
that.
How many followers do you have?
I have about 238 followers. I say
Wow.
about. I have
Precise.
exactly
Precise.
238.